everybody. Welcome to another edition of Box Seats. Your host, Frank Holder, here with you. You know what we do. We do a comedy show with sports. We talk to comedians about sports. Let's get ready to get some of them in here. My man T Talent is up in the building. What's up, T? How you doing, bro?
What's good, son?
Not much, man. You're not. This is why you
Oh,
got.
I'm good. I'm good.
You got to get yourself adjusted before you get. Not the minute you get on air like I do. Fig in the building too. What's up, Fig? How you doing, sir?
Yo, man, this is a good day, man. I'm trying to tell you, it's hard being this sexy on today, man. But I do it for the people.
You do it for the people. I don't know what happened to Talent. Okay, Talent's gonna come back in a second. My man Amir Sealy's in the building. Amir, what's happening?
What's going on? How's everything, gentlemen?
Everything's all right. You all right with your Wi-Fi over there? Your Wi-Fi good?
Who, mine?
No, I was talking to Talent. Your Wi-Fi good? Because Talent.
Oh, yeah. Your sound is messed up. I'm gonna go out, come back in.
Okay, all right. So anyway, we're gonna get ready to jump into the show, man. We got a lot. First, Amir, thank you for joining the show. All right, what?
We not on Facebook.
Yes, we are. I'm looking right at it.
I don't see it, man. I'm sorry. I miss my Facebook people, man. I don't see it.
I'm looking at the check marks right now. I see it. I see what's happening.
Here we go.
Okay. Now he stopped the whole show to say that. I mean, at least he got us ahead of the time. At least he got us there, right? Like that's what he did. All right. So T's coming back in the building. Talent, you there? Talent, you there? T.
Now, sounds good.
All right, there it is. So before I jump into, I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. You guys had a great weekend? Everybody had a good weekend?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hope you as well.
Yeah, I did. Now, when it comes to some of the dumbest things you heard over the weekend, you know I got to start out with some of the dumb things. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna start with Talent. Talent, you're gonna love this one, T. I'm gonna just tell you right now. You're gonna love this one. Okay. First of all, there was a tragic news. There was a shooting in the Chicago parade, right? And 6 people got killed. And after 6 people got killed, then there were some, obviously about 19 to 20 people who got sent to the hospital. The Dallas Cowboys had a campaign that they continue to go with, and it's called the new coffee sponsorship. And it's horrible because it's called Black Rifle Coffee. They're doing it on Tuesday, which they call America's Coffee. It's part of the Independence Day celebration. The team is giving away 2 tickets to the fall and a year subscription to Black Rifle Coffee. Now, mind you, some of their Black Rifle Coffee stuff has AR-57, AK-57, AK-47, titled coffee giveaways and things like that. Mind you, we all know what happened over the weekend. Oh, my man, Business Bullies in the building too. What's up, B? How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Happy birthday again, brother.
Right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, T, talk to me. Tell me how you're feeling about the Dallas Cowboys with the worst, and I mean the worst campaign, which they could have obviously stopped before it was released this morning. What you think about that, T?
That's what I'm saying. Who are the people in charge of the green light of things and the nixing of things in corporate America? You got to be sensitive right now in the close proximity of these mass shootings. How do you let this campaign go ahead? How does a person in that office not go, you know what? Let's put a can on this for a second because let's see where the nation gonna go, let people heal. People, family after family has been, just devastated. Black Rifle Coffee, and then the names of the cups, you're going a step further. Give me a AR-15 macchiato. You go a step further with that. I just think this is ludicrous. Now, this is something the league should clamp down on. If the team doesn't have sense enough to stop it and put a can on it, the league got to step in, bro. This is ludicrous.
Yeah, it's horrible. Amir, you're up next, man. Amir, when you hear how the Cowboys didn't do anything in their front office to put a stop to this campaign, what was your level of thought now that you hear it? I don't even know if you heard about this before, but what's your level of thought when you hear about this right now?
I'm just hearing about it for the first time, but I will say this, the real problem that I always have with so many of these things is the blatant slap in the face to the public at large, and in particular, the African American community. We all are not necessarily fans of the ownership for the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously some of the things that he finds himself doing or being a part of. But it's a microcosm of a bigger issue, which is white privilege and its ability to just kind of get away with doing anything they want to do, and nobody having checks and balances to go, come on, we got to give that the full Perry.
Right.
And like, come on, like I'm more disappointed than anything. But at the same time, this is the Dallas Cowboys we talk about. The same team that had the owner that supposedly told his team members that if any of them kneeled,
right,
there'd be consequences. So you kind of, in a real way, it's kind of like a giving the finger to our community, but that's just the way I see it. I don't know if any of y'all feel the same way, but that's the way I kind of feel about it. So, wow.
Right. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. The show's called Box Seats. Thank you all for listening and watching and sharing, obviously, your thoughts and everything else. Fig, questions up for you, man. Also, what happened over the weekend is President Biden finally officially got a letter from Brittany Griner and everything else, asking for her release and asking for people to do something, anything to help her get released, everything else. Brittany Griner has been held since February. She's on 139 days up there right now. At the end of the day, Fig, talk to me and tell me what your thoughts are when you hear that Brittany Griner reached out and they released the news on the 4th of July. Like literally, we found out 4th of July that Brittany Griner's in this situation. What you think about this, Fig?
It's just, I don't know, man. This whole thing is just, now I'm beginning to think, I'm not even sure if this woman even had any cartridges with stuff in it. I don't know. This whole political climate is funny, you know. And then when you start talking about Russia, I'm not really sure whether they're on the up and up with this whole thing, you know. Before when Trump was elected, they was like Russia interfered with the voting process, and then Trump seemed to be extremely buddy with Russia. Now all of a sudden they have these political prisoners or prisoners of war, if you will, and it's just a hot mess, man. When you look at the state of America today, man, it's just a hot mess, man. It like everything from the pandemic to the war to the raising of prices. It's just like, this ain't good, man. It just ain't good. It's not a good look. And to have a black woman there is even worse, because you know how they treat us.
Yeah, I definitely know that. But the financial implications, Business Bully, who's in the building, the financial implications of all this is happening right now for the WNBA. As crazy as this might sound, this is going to get more attention to the WNBA one way or the other.
It's going to get more attention to the WNBA. Just the other day, they released the roster for the All-Star game, and it's stacked. And I can't wait to watch it. But 90% of the WNBA's viewership are men. The reason that women don't watch the WNBA is because they don't have a chance to be a basketball wife in most cases. Anyway, the thing when it comes to the Brittany Griner situation, and we can blame Trump, we can blame whoever, but the truth of the matter is this isn't an uncommon thing. When there were political prisoners in North Korea, Bill Clinton, during the Obama administration, went and got those political prisoners out. My whole thing is, why does it take a letter on the 4th of July to get Joe Biden to do anything? Like, at some point, we got to call a spade and realize that black people have never been a priority in this country unless we're building something, shucking and jiving, telling jokes or dancing. So for me, financially, this is just going to be more of the same. And we're heading towards almost, it's a recession with like a depression shot with it. So you're going to get like a depression back on the end of that. So, I mean, be prepared for $7 gas and $8 milk. It's coming.
Yeah, that's definitely coming. T, when I saw this, man, when I tell you, I saw this the other night, actually last night, I was like, this is going to be very interesting to see how this comes out. All right, T, Jeannie Buss, co-owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, majority owner of Los Angeles Lakers, put out a tweet. I just saw when it came out live. She said in her tweet, I miss Kobe Bryant. He would understand and explain everything that I'm not allowed to. Honestly, he was the greatest Laker ever. He understood team over self, meaning your rewards would come if you value team goals over your own, then everything would fall into place. All can reply. That has a crazy amount of implications to that, because the simple fact being, we all know the Los Angeles Lakers are in this huge mist of trading for Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean? Like they talked about being trading for Kyrie Irving. What do you think about this cryptic tweet, and what do you think she means? See, after you read that, after you hear that, what do you think Jeannie Buss means from that tweet? What's the first thing that hits your mind?
First thing hit your mind is obvious. It's one of those dry snitching joints right there. That's where everybody know what the hell you're talking about, but you just ain't say the name. You saying LeBron needs to shut the hell up and think for the team and not himself. Because why else would you bring up who's your greatest Laker when you have an argumentative greatest Laker playing with you in current times? I think that she's sending a subliminal message. Let's face it, we live in a weird time where we like to try everything in the court of public opinion. And she's trying to get the public to back her and get, create like a America, make the Lakers great again campaign and go against LeBron. And hopefully LeBron will wake up and go, you know what, I'm sorry. But what can we do to make the team better first? Because obviously he's willing to deal in taking care of LeBron and LeBron issues first. So that's what I take with that. That's like a dry snitch without the name.
Interesting. Business Bully, what do you take from that tweet? What's the first thing that you hear from that tweet? What's the first meaning that you understand from that tweet?
Well, I will say this. First of all, Jeanie Buss is part of a phenomenal Lakers legacy. Let's not take that from her. Secondly, we also have to look at what's happening. Kobe Bryant, only played for two teams. Well, actually, he played for one team, but was signed to the Charlotte Hornets and then demanded a trade. Let's not forget that. But he stayed a company man for as long as he lived. And on top of that, that dude is the Lakers version of The Undertaker. The Undertaker started on one team for a second, left because they told him he had no value. Then he went over to the Lakers, and that's just what it is. So at this point, my whole thing is this. She's pissed off because LeBron is not playing for the team. LeBron is playing for LeBron. But my whole thing is, who did you think you were getting? You got somebody who plays for LeBron. LeBron has always played for LeBron. When he played in Miami, he played for LeBron. When LeBron played in Cleveland, he played for LeBron. When he left Cleveland, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers called him Benedict Arnold because he knows that LeBron is about LeBron. Is LeBron great? Absolutely. But LeBron is like Taye Diggs is the television shows. He'll get you some ratings. He'll get you where you need to be, but sometimes it's still going to be all about him. And at the end, it's going to crash and burn. So she's pissed off. She's frustrated and her hands are tied because her legacy, her father's legacy, and quite frankly, the future of women ownership in the NBA depends on her being successful in turning a team that is lackluster at best around because there's a bunch of old folks on there and a guy who's more concerned about turning in a mediocre Space Jam movie than making a franchise great again. I said it.
Okay. That's what he said. Fig. When you hear that, what do you take as your meaning from understand? How you understand, how you interpret it. What's your meaning? What do you take?
I also think it was a subliminal message to LeBron James. We never know what's going on behind the scenes. Everybody talk about this tug of war for power. It started with Magic and Pelinka. Now we're talking about LeBron James and Clutch Sports and stuff like that. LeBron, making his deals through, Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, trying to get different players to team up with him and stuff like that. It seems as though she's making an insinuation that LeBron James is possibly not a team player.
Yeah. I'll say this, Amir. I want to hear what your interpretation is, but I think that was a dig at LeBron in a sidestep kind of way. That's what I think it was. Because you didn't have to say who the greatest Laker is. You didn't have to add that, but that's just my take. Anyway, how do you interpret it, Amir? What's your interpretation?
I think every point that's been made thus far is right. But I also think this. Look, in this climate that we're in, there are certain people who just shouldn't have access to certain things. Her tweet is equivalent to some of the fun stuff that 45 did when he was in office. Sometimes some things you just need to keep up here. You just do. Now, if she really has beef with LeBron or anybody else, whatever, first of all, she's the owner of the team. So she can say, hey, Talent, I'm going to need you to come by the office. Let's have a sit down and work this out or whatever the case may be. You own the team. LeBron can say no, but since you own the team, then you now have the position to be able to move and shake and do whatever it is you want to do. The fact that we, as adults in some cases, and using her in this particular example, think that we have to do subliminals. We're in a rap battle. This is a versus. Like, what are we doing here? Just come out, say whatever it is on your heart and on your spirit, and then y'all hash things out. We have our kumbaya moment. And we move forward from there. Because when you start doing the subliminal stuff, to your point, Frank, it leaves too much room for interpretation. And that, to Talent's point, is when public opinion really starts running wild, and then we off to the races, and it's all kind of craziness. So stop doing that. Just talk to the people that you have beef with, whatever that beef may be. Hash it out.
Fig, you up next. Fig, there was a major trade after we got off the air on Friday. I think it's one of the most lopsided trades I've ever seen. I mean, almost in NBA history. I got to still check. The Utah Jazz traded for Rudy Gobert. They traded away Rudy Gobert to Minnesota for 5 picks plus Malik Beasley, Pat Beverly, Leonardo Boamo, Walker Kessler, and Jared Vanderbilt. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell got highly upset, as you expect him to get. He got upset. His whole team got gutted. But at the end of the day, they got a lot of trade picks. They got a lot of picks. They got, so how are you looking at this move that Utah Jazz, new Danny Ainge is now GM over there? Danny Ainge does this all the time. People, they tend not to see that. He did the same thing when he came over to the Celtics. He did the exact same thing, and look where the Celtics are now. He built the team. He's not getting credit for it, but he built this team. Same thing he's doing to Utah. That's the way I'm looking at it. But he traded away a star. He did the same thing with the Celtics. He traded away Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. How are you looking at this right now, Fig? What's your take?
Oh, first off, I don't know what Donovan Mitchell was upset about, because he didn't want to play with Rudy anyway. So you got away. You got rid of the one guy you didn't want to play with, and you got potential 4 to 5 other guys that might turn out to be pretty decent players that play on your squad. That's if he's staying. We're not even sure that Donovan Mitchell is going to stay. And Frank, I know I'm a homer, but to me, the worst trade in NBA history is when the Knicks traded a bunch of all-stars for Carmelo Anthony, or guys who turned out to have pretty great careers. For Carmelo Anthony, we gave up Danilo Gallinari, a center, Chandler, this one, that one. And every time these guys popped up on other teams, they seemed to be doing well. And the Knicks had pretty much nobody to put around Carmelo Anthony. The good thing is they still got Donovan Mitchell along with these players. So their team might turn out to be actually pretty good. And Rudy Gobert, he was a defensive stopper, but he didn't really score that much.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's one way of looking at it, T. Donovan Mitchell literally said, build you up to tear you down in a tweet. He was upset. If you're Donovan Mitchell and you hear all those people are leaving and you're getting a lot of draft picks and everything else, are you upset?
Yeah, I mean, it's called cake and eat it too. You wanted this Negro gone, but you ain't want to clean the house with him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I tell you who put this Diet Coke in the refrigerator, get this out of here, I don't drink this. And you take out the grape soda too. You took the grape, you threw out the orange, the mellow yellow. I'm upset. I wanted one thing gone, and it cost me more than I was bargaining for. So careful what you wish for and what you may get.
I'm trying to tell you, business bully. We all know the business implications of this and everything else, but I think you gave up a little bit too much for Rudy Gobert, in my opinion. How are you feeling about this trade?
Yeah, I think it's hot trash truck juice, Frank. If we're just gonna be honest, but I get the mentality, because here's what happens. People say, "Listen, and stop it. We're talking about the Utah Jazz, right? Did I get that messed up? We're talking about the Utah. Okay, cool. Because until 5 minutes ago, I forgot the Utah Jazz was still a team. So at some point, we have to acknowledge the fact that nobody's thinking about the Utah Jazz who does not work for the organization. So it might be good to start with a clean slate, but they do, like Talent says, there's times where I have leftovers and, my stomach is small because I had surgery. So I can't eat all my food at once. So I might be saving something for a day or so. And if my wife go in there, she cleaning out everything, bro. And sometimes that's the best way to go about it, because, that salad was wilted. I wasn't going to get to it. So why not just start with a fresh young organization and build up? And let's face it, they can't be any worse than the Lakers right now. So if we get a nice young organization going, we might see some changes. At least they'll move further up than the Lakers do.
I like that jab at the Lakers. You hear that, Amir? That's a subtle, not so subtle jab at the Lakers. Amir,
I'm sorry, did they make the playoffs, Frank? Did the legendary Lakers make the playoffs? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back to being a comedian.
They were sitting on the couch next to me. Amir.
Yeah.
What's your take, Amir? What's your take on this trade?
You know what's so crazy? I mean, first off, like everybody's pointed out, he didn't want to play with Gobert. You can't have that kind of mentality. Then when they, trade him or whatever, now you seemingly upset. The funny thing is, I think he actually got some solid pieces to add to, what he's doing. When you look at the West in particular, and size not necessarily mattering only because there are only a few select teams that actually have size that use it properly, they're in a good position. Donovan Mitchell, he's got somebody in Pat Beverly, who we all know is a, get on your nerves kind of player. So now that gives them some, a little bit of toughness, from that standpoint. Malik Beasley is a scorer. He's a guy who, is a solid player. So they got some solid pieces to move into this situation. The real question for Donovan Mitchell is, Donovan Mitchell, when are you going to move into the space of being the leader, if that's where you want to be, of that organization and that team in particular? And that's going to require you not only putting your stamp on the organization, but getting those gentlemen together and going, hey guys, I think we got a really, good chance to do something great here if we collectively work together. Because that's what it's going to require for them to make any kind of noise out on the West, still with, so many great teams that are already over there. So that, like I said, to me, it really falls on Donovan Mitchell, much less the fact that they traded for so many different pieces. Donovan Mitchell, what you going to do, sir? You are one of those names that they mention as the next coming or the, new superstars. What you going to do, sir?
So we're getting ready to start another round of rapid fire. You're watching a show called, obviously, Box Seats. Business Bullies, your turn. You're up first.
Oh, wow. Damn,
okay,
I am losing weight. I look like talent all of a sudden.
Here it is. Here it is. Kendrick Perkins came out over the weekend. He said KD is not leaving. He thinks KD's bluffing. He said he's trying to set up a better play for Kyrie Irving. And he doesn't think KD is going away. And he made a lot of sense with what he said. He said, and this morning, I heard 4 or 5 different sports pundits all say that they don't think Kevin Durant's leaving Brooklyn either. They all think Kevin Durant is staying. Where are you at with this Kevin Durant situation? Do you think Kevin Durant is leaving or staying? And most importantly, do you think what Kendrick Perkins said is true? You think it's a bluff?
All of us, with the exception of Amir, have headlined, right? And sometimes you got to play hardball with a promoter. And sometimes you got to tell the promoter, listen, like me and Fig and Talent ain't going to do this show unless you cut a better check, because this is absolutely ridiculous. You ain't telling me you was opening up the back, whereas though you putting in more seats and whatnot. We agreed based upon this many seats that we was going to get paid this. Now you trying to pull the okie doke. So if you're going to do that to me and my mans, and then me and my mans and them going to go down the street here to this little hole in the wall and make double on our own. So now all of a sudden the promoter starts staring. Oh, no. That's what Kevin Durant is doing. He's giving them the rope-a-dope because he understands that there's a bigger plan in play, and he's the guy. Say what you want, Olympic gold medalist, the guy. Like, dude, listen, and we all have our issues with KD, but let's keep it a buck. The dude, if he leaves that team, listen, it's a bad look. So they're going to do everything they can to keep everybody in place in order to make that man happy.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back to this Kevin Durant question in a second. Another big blockbuster news thing that somebody sent me from your sound, the talent from New York City, was that, you know what, the NBA is investigating this New York Knicks move that they did to get DeJounte Murray over the weekend, saying there's tampering. And there's a lot of buzz about that right now.
DeJounte Murray?
I mean, what's his name?
Brunson. I thought we got DeJounte Murray too.
Calm down. Fig turned red. He was like, oh.
The New York Knicks is being accused for a lot of this league for this Brunson kid. Everybody's saying there's a lot of tampering for this. What I'm going to ask you is, do you think the New York Knicks are about to get ready to get into a big scandal with this? Because they said 4 or 5 people came up and told the NBA that not only did they have the contract ready and prepared, not only did they have the terms clear and everything else, they didn't even give Dallas a chance to counter literally 1 minute after the free agency started. And usually 99.99% of the time, that's what happens. The team gets a chance to counter. He signed the deal at exactly the minute of, so that it's suspecting tampering. They're digging into that. Do you think there's tampering for the New York Knicks?
Well, I'll be honest with you. You know how they say in football, a call could be made every down?
Yeah.
If you really, that's how I feel about tampering. I think everybody tampers. I think it's just a point of being able to prove it and get caught. Absolutely, every big trade, for when people want something and get that one thing where they exactly want it, It has to be some tampering going on. I mean, but yeah, but prove it. I'm Team Brunson. Show me where you got me. Play the tape, John.
There you go. Fig, I'm gonna have you answer that same question. You think the Knicks are gonna get caught with the tampering situation, or do you think it's gonna be a big deal? Do you think, first of all, do you even think the Knicks tampered at all first? And then if you think they did or didn't, where you stand on that?
I think the Knicks tampered. I think the Lakers tampered when they got Anthony Davis. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers tampered when they got Kevin Love because Andrew Wiggins never made the team photo. They do the team photo early. Andrew Wiggins never made the team photo. When LeBron went there, he already initiated the trade that Kyrie was going, that Kevin Love was going to be with him in Cleveland and play with Kyrie. There's tampering everywhere. If you think that we got social media and these guys getting on private jets and going and they playing basketball in the offseason and having conversations, the Banana Boat crew with Chris Paul and LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and all the crew and Carmelo Anthony, if you don't think there's no tampering going on in the NBA, you are crazy. You are kidding yourself. The man's father played for the organization. But if you're going to call out one, call out everybody or leave it alone because you're going to open up a can of worms. Because if you pull me out, we all got caught. Oh, they caught us.
It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Amir, where you at with that?
Hey, it's like playing spades. Show me which book. Where'd I renege at?
Right.
Which book?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which book?
Where?
I didn't see it.
And if you get
said
the
I
wrong
cut
book, you
diamonds.
give me 3 books, right, Amir?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, you know, to Talent and Fig's point and to business in general, sometimes, and I'm sure Business Bully is going to address this even, you know, much more so, given the opportunity, there's tampering that goes on because, fortunately, unfortunately, that is a part of the culture of certain things. It doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm not justifying stuff because everybody then thinks when you say certain things, it means you justifying it. No, you just understand that, like anything, there are rules that go along with the game. The most that you could do is understand the rules so you can either bend them or utilize them in a way that works out in your favor. That's really what tampering boils down to be when you start looking at it on a broader scale and from the standpoint of sports or anything else in life. You found a way to kind of get around stuff. You didn't totally break the law, but you was like, you know what, if I sidestep over here, they're going to feel a little strange about it, but everybody's going to understand it. And I think that's what you're looking at with this situation. How big it gets, you know, God only knows. But look, there were certain franchises that I think the NBA also works hard or diligently to try to make sure that they stay a part of the broader landscape. New York is one of those cities. If New York is trash all year long, you know, for the next 30 years, it kind of, you know, is hanky for the whole East because New York is supposedly a mecca of basketball. So they need to kind of have them at least be in the conversation.
Right.
Brunson gives us that opportunity.
All right, so we're going to start the next round. And here's the first question up. Talent, you're up, man. So I think it's your turn. In fact, it is your turn. Chet Holmgren had a dominant in the summer league, even though it wasn't the Vegas league, where it's the most dominant league at. He debuted. He was the number pick by OKC. He's 7'1". He had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 blocks, 7 for 9 shooting, and 24 minutes. I was impressed, T, because he was being guarded the most by Taco Fall, whose his height might be even a little taller.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there are a lot of people out there this morning that saying he wasn't impressive. But the little bit of clips I saw, he chewed up Taco Ball. But people are saying he ain't heavy enough and he ain't going to fill out. And he's the great white hope and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You hear these numbers, even though it's summer league, are you impressed with, you know, you think there's a possibility that Chet Holmgren is going to be the real deal, or what's your impression on Chet Holmgren, T?
Oh, absolutely good numbers. Absolutely impressed. People who say certain things, if you know basketball, you know how stupid people sound who don't know basketball. When you say, "Oh, he's light ass" or whatever the case may be, you want your players coming in the league like that, and then you bulk them up. You don't want them coming in bulk. because you only gain muscle and mass and fat when the years go on. So you want something to work with. If somebody gives you a pardon of expression, somebody that's light in the ass, they give you a lot to work with. You know, those guys who come in slim like that, now you build them and mold them to the direction you want to use them in. You might want him to be bulked up and muscle bound, like, you know, a Zion build, or you might want him to stay agile like a KD build, you know, that can slash, so to speak. Pippen stayed skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Pippen stayed skinny for a reason. That's how they were going to utilize him going forward. We wasn't going to use you as power forward, Pippen. We was going to have you play center. We need a complement to Jordan and whoever the point guard is going to be, a slasher, if you will. So I think people who say that don't know what they're talking about. I think the numbers are impressive.
All right. Amir, people are saying right now, though, but, you know, once he's in the league, Chet ain't going to be able to stop nobody and everything else, and people are going to be running over him. So three or four scouts came out this morning and said, you know, he started settling for shooting jumpers because he was too weak to be battling down low. But I think the league is now everybody's shooting outside anyway. What's your take, Amir?
You got that, and then the other side of it is this, and this is always the bigger question to me. Like I said, you come into the league, you have to acclimate yourself to the league, the speed of it, the physicality of it, and all of these different things. And then the biggest adjustment that most players have to make, especially if you're going to have impact on the league, is your heart. None of us can measure that. We're only going off technically what we supposedly have seen or what we see. He's the dude who, when the lights go off, has to sit there and go, do I really want to make an impact on this league? Do I really want to be somebody who, you know, is talked about for years to come and or, you know, put my name up there with the greats? So to me, it all falls really on him. These are the early stages. Everybody goes in green, no matter what line of work they go into. At some point, though, it depends on whether or not your mind frame and your mindset says, I'm going to take control of this thing and I'm going to turn it into what I want to turn it into. That is, to me, what remains to be seen with this young man. And I'm looking forward to it because at 7 feet to, you know, kind of do the things that he's doing, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. And Fig, at the end of the day, people are still saying that now, obviously, I'm not racist in any way, but people are trying to push him up and saying, especially a lot of black guys are saying, you know what, he's just the great white hype and he's getting all this and everything else. The dude could ball, I think, like flat out. The dude could ball. That's what I think. I mean, maybe am I looking at something? You Fig X, do you see him as a baller? Do you think he's a great white? Do you think what do you think?
I think two things can be possible at the same time. I mean, you know, there's some white Americans that would probably love to see a basketball player that is from here, that is Caucasian, that can play basketball. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, you know, we got a lot of white basketball players that are highly skilled in the league. They just all happen to be from other countries. So to have a homegrown dude, no pun intended, to have a homegrown dude to be Caucasian and to be a skilled player, it's probably, you know, it's kind of good for them. They probably, you know, are pumping their chest out about it. Now, if they can just get him to pump his chest out a little more, it's a lot better. But listen, the boy can dribble, he can shoot. There's no really back to the basket players nowadays where he's going to be banging in the paint. So he's long enough to intimidate, to change, and to block some shots, as we saw yesterday. His level of talent that he's going to be playing against is going to be way greater than what he had to play against yesterday.
Yeah, the business bully. I'm gonna say this to you, man. Right now, the shirts on OKC have got to be back ordered for Chet Holmgren right now. The amount of money impact he's going to make on the impact in the league, being that he's a white player. And listen, we all, you know, when white players in the league and they do well, they do phenomenally well, especially like Fig said, where they're from here too. You know what I mean? You don't have a foreign name. I can only imagine the financial implications he's going to do in the NBA. And he's talking trash already. What you think, Vic? What you think?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, Frank. Two things come to mind. The first thing is I have not seen this much hype around a white boy since Sean Bradley got drafted out of the Peace Corps to the Philadelphia 76ers. And we all know how that turned out. That's one. Number two, what's his first name again? Chet?
Chet.
You know good and hell well.
Homegrown.
Chad Hungry, that's my boy right there. You know, I don't mean boy like I mean them diggers. I mean boy. That's my boy. He's hometown ready. There's not enough jersey material, bro. I promise you right now. I think I just got a call from Oklahoma City. I'm going to check with my assistant about all my old 6X shirts because they need the material to print out these jerseys for this white boy. They are going to lull and love over this white boy. Man, there's going to be so much apple. They're going to have apple pie and milk bobblehead night in Oklahoma City behind this white man. And quite frankly, I'm here for it because it's good business. And let me tell you something. The money is not made on the court. The money is made in concessions. And the second more players understood that, they would structure their deals accordingly. But who am I? But yeah, let's go check. Let's go, Jack. Let's go, Brandon. Woohoo! Oklahoma when the wind.
So you're not in the 5-6X no more. Where you at, man? What size you talking? What size?
2X. Yep.
My man, I got one for you.
My man, because it's just comedy joint. I use it as a nightgown for my wife. It's just.
Well, I was gonna say use it as a tablecloth now.
Nah, you know what? We're going camping next week.
Oh, so, there you go. You got your
pitching tents.
Yeah.
Y'all are crazy. Y'all are insane. Y'all are insane. All right, we get ready to start another round. I want to see what you guys think about this, man, because the Lakers made some moves over the weekend. It's very subtle moves. Some people think that they're doing salary dumps. There's a center named Thomas Bryant coming out of Washington Wizards. I'm not sure if he was coveted a lot because he's cheap. He has a lot of blocks. He makes a lot of blocks and everything else. The Lakers signed him to a 1-year contract. They want to play him in the center position, Anthony Davis as obviously in power forward and everything else. Do you like this move for the Lakers? You like this move for the Lakers getting Thomas Bryant? He literally averaged maybe 3 points, two rebounds.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I like it for the first 10 games. And then after that, they'll probably move him over to power forward because AD will be hurt. So in that fashion, it's a good move. But if you think you're going to set it for the season, sadly mistaken, yellow and gold. Come on now, get that purple right in the middle there. I think that, Frank, that's not where the problem lies. I think the problem lies, AD, as much as I know he don't feel comfortable with the word center or playing center, to me, this is what I was taught coaching growing up. And Amir knows this shit, man. You're the biggest dude on the court. You're going to play center. There's only one exception I watched to that rule coming up on that end, and that was Tim Duncan. And we know why, because he came in next to the Admiral. But you can't just say I'm 7, whatever, I'm the biggest dude on the court, and give me powerful.
Yeah, you definitely can't do that. You definitely can't do that. Fig, TJ Warren signed with the Brooklyn Nets. Everybody remembers PJ Warren. He was injured a lot from the Indiana Pacers. He signed a 1-year contract with the Brooklyn Nets. Is Brooklyn stacking up more so thinking that KD is going to stay there with them by them signing TJ Warren? Or are they trying to get this 3-point shooting slasher to the basket because they think KD's going to be gone? What do you think about the signing?
I mean, listen, I don't care what team you're on. Players are players. And if this guy can stay healthy, he already proved that he has skills. You know what I mean? So whether KD goes or Kyrie goes or they stay, you want basketball players and skilled players on your team. This kid is that. You know what I mean? And his only drawback is his health. It's like Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson and anybody else that has been habitually injured in the NBA. If they can stay on the court, they are major contributors. And TJ is one of those dudes. So whether KD stays or Kyrie stays or they go, you still want that dude on your team.
Ain't that the truth? Business bully.
Yes, sir.
Chicago Bulls reach a 1-year contract deal with point guard shooter Goran Dragic. Used to be played for the Miami Heat. This dude used to be a lighthouse shooter. Yeah, and I think he even played with the Bucks. But this dude shoots the lights out. The Bulls got him. People tend to forget that the Bulls, like I said several times, the Bulls was lead number 1 in the conference for the first 3.5 months of last season. Do you think it's a good move for the Bulls?
Absolutely. Anything that's going to strengthen that ball boy, anything that's going to move that needle, like Chicago is doing what it has always done. Listen, I grew up in a time where it was literally Boston, then the Lakers, then the Bulls. That's what it is. And now the Bulls realize, listen, if we get good, strong, solid pieces in place with experience, plus young, hungry folks who can both move the ball and shoot the flipping lights out, Frank, Listen, it's a slow build, but when they get back, it's going to be a dynasty again. I'm excited to watch Chicago. I'm not going to lie to you. And again, LeVar Ball is one of the greatest sports parents who's ever lived. Thanks.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Amir, we all saw what Atlanta Hawks did last week with DeJounte Murray, having him with Trae Young and everything else. But because of the salary issues they got, they're trying to trade John Collins. So John Collins is center for the Atlanta Hawks. He was dominant and everything else. I'm thinking they should unload a couple of other players and keep him, because then if they keep him, I think they'll be a formidable team in the East. But money's always an issue.
Yeah.
What do you think about Atlanta? You think they should unload a couple other people and or should they keep John Collins? What do you think the situation looks like if you're Atlanta? What do you think they should do?
I think they should, try to keep the Collins kid. Look, there's probably a couple of guys on the bench that are, right there, meaning maybe in another organization or another team, these guys could be plug in and play and or, add to an organization's situation. A lot of times, to the point that Business Bully just made, you got to build and plug in the pieces in a way that not only makes sense, but at least there's some cohesiveness and there's some time spent together. Without that part of the equation, then you just have, what we have sometimes when we see some of these teams who, just take guys from other places and they bring them for the year or whatever, and it's chaos because there wasn't time for, the guys to build together and to, get to know each other. Basketball still is a game of learning how and where guys like the ball and, and what to do with it and all that kind of stuff. And that comes with spending time together. From all of the former players, especially that I've spoken to, a lot of them say that that's probably the toughest thing about being in the league is that building that cohesiveness, because they don't like each other. There's a lot of teams that players don't like each other, but they know when they get out on that court, we have to act as one unit and do what needs to be done. So I think that Atlanta has to look at that, because it appears to me that the way the coach had been coaching them, that's what they were moving towards, having that cohesiveness by playing together.
Amir, were you dropping us a kind of a sneak behind the scenes thing, talking about they don't like each other? Because I didn't know a lot of teams didn't like each other. You know what I mean? But if you're trying to tell us a scoop, let us know that's a scoop. Fig, you're up next, man. Marius Thomas, who played for a lot of years for Denver. He played for maybe 2 or 3 games for the Patriots. He played maybe 1 or 2 games for the Jets. It came out, he died December 9th, 15 days before his 34th birthday. It came out that he had CTE. The Patriots released him because they said he had seizure issues, you know what I mean? And they said that after the Jets released him because he had seizure issues and everything else. Come to find out, his seizure issues were related to CTE. I don't think anybody's, surprised from this, Fig, about this and everything else that he has CTE, but he was a phenomenal tight end, man. When you hear this news, man, what you think, Fig?
Is the NFL let out just enough to make the noise quiet down with this whole CTE thing, and now it seems to be raising its ugly head again. CTE issues. These players, we just say, they're dumb jocks and, they're doing stuff just because it's their product of their environment or the way they was raised. And then it actually turns out, let's just say exactly what it is. These guys have brain issues. They have brain injuries from these head-on collisions and being out in probably the most violent sport that we have in America today. And the NFL is hiding stuff and they're putting it away. If you want to have a congressional investigation, then that's what you need to be looking at. Forget about all this stuff about sexual assaults. And not saying that. Let's back that up. I'm not saying that you shouldn't investigate that, but I'm saying, what about the real stuff? What about? I can't say that way either. CTE should be top, and then everything else should fall under that, because these players are losing their lives. They're committing violent acts, and they're impacting the rest of the community because the NFL is covering up stuff. So in addition to investigating sexual assaults or what have you by these owners or whatever, let's focus on CTE because clearly that issue has not gone away in the NFL.
And speaking of sexual assaults and that type of investigation, Deshaun Watson investigation ended last week. Yeah, you like that segue? To Deshaun Watson investigation ended last week. Can't hear you. Deshaun Watson, go ahead.
You said, do I like it? You said, speaking of sexual assault, and put the camera right on me. That was a hell of a segue. Sexual assault.
We're already going to use that footage.
Here's our correspondent from the group home.
Good. I'm sorry, D. But the Deshaun Watson case ended last week, man. And here we are. It's Wednesday. The investigation that the NFL had, he had him on trial, ended last Friday. People were expecting that by Monday morning we were going to hear the results and some, they were going to come up with some type of something. We were going to hear something from this. It's now Wednesday, and Wednesdays have over, and no news has been released. Do you think their findings that they found and they discussed behind the scenes ended up coming away with more than what we were talking about, or what do you think is the reason why we have not heard anything more about Deshaun Watson?
I think it's less. I don't think it's more. I think it's less. I think if it was a season or better, they would have dropped it like a hot potato. I think because it's less, what you do to cushion uproar is you stall. The reason R. Kelly got away with the first case is people don't realize he dragged that case out 6 years. Mm-hmm. So by the time they went to trial, this so-called underage girl was a grown-ass woman with 3 jobs. So listen, the point is this. You drag it out when you think the news is bad. So they know that because of the climate out there, with all the hashtag #MeToos and everything going on, if we drop this little 8-game suspension, a lot of people are gonna get a little backlash. So to calm down on the backlash, let's soften the blow. The longer we take, the less emotional, high-ridden people are. So people will be a little more like, oh man, they gave 8 games. But if you did it right away, oh, you got the protesters outside the front office. So I think it's good news for him that it's taken a minute.
Interesting take. Bully, you agree with that?
To a certain extent. I think that this is a huge nothing burger with extra cheese. I've always thought it was a huge nothing burger with extra cheese because if he actually did anything that was criminal, they'd have had him in chains by now, bro. Like I live in America. I don't know where the rest of y'all live, but on Earth 1, right? If you're a black man in America and you're sexually assaulting women left and right all willy-nilly and you're black, yeah, you getting dragged. Like you're seriously getting dragged. And so my whole thing is they couldn't come up with anything, but we got to appease the MeToos, right? The Me Too minions are out there, so we got to appease them. But listen, it got me so shook because I thought the decision would come down today. I actually canceled my massage appointment because I don't want nobody doing nothing, right? I got rid of Omarion's Touch off of my iTunes playlist. You know what I'm saying? Like Johnny Gill was performing Rub You the Right Way with New Edition, all 6 members, including Bobby Brown. I left the concert, Frank. It's scary. It's absolutely scary right now, bro. Like, no, man. I
like all the references you threw out there. Was the Earth 1 reference a DC reference, or is that more the Marvel reference? Which Earth?
No, that's more of a DC reference because okay. Marvel is Earth 616, but I'm a dork.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask you. Are we going to do the Marvel 616 DC? That's what I was doing. That's why. Amir, are you with the Earth 1 or the? I'm sorry, Amir. I meant. Do you agree with his take on the Deshaun Watson situation?
Again, this has been such an interesting ongoing situation from day one, and from day one we kind of felt certain things didn't seem to add up, and I still, in all fairness, believe that this was just a very horrible tactical move by the management of the Houston Texans, who wanted to, rake this young man over the coals for not wanting to show up to work. Now, I get it, where there's some situations that probably happen that warrant, a slap on the wrist or somebody looking into, no question. But the bigger picture is, and, like I said, we've talked about this, to no end. The man's not married. He's young. He got a lot of money. He's probably doing some stupid things that some of us may or may not have done if we were young and had money like he does. And the bottom line is, after going through all of this, if and when do we get to see this young man get back on the field and do what we've come to know him to be great at, which is play football? and be a quarterback. I get everybody is what you call it. I think the man has served more than his fair share of time having not been on the football field. Let's get the man back on the football field and see if he still has the gumption for that. All the rest of it is always going to be up for conjecture from now until the end of time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so I'm going to start this last round, and we're going to go through it real quick. I'm going to start with Fig. Fig, you up first. Give me your thoughts, man, on Mike Grier being the first black GM in NHL history. Meanwhile, his brother, Chris Grier, is the GM for the Dolphins. Being that you're Fig X, you got to talk to me and tell me how you really like the San Jose Sharks, man, literally hiring their first black GM. What's your thoughts on this, Fig?
You know, the funny thing when it comes to hockey is just that, a lot of black people just weren't interested. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really ice skate. We roller skate. You know what I mean? Cold weather stuff doesn't really appeal to black Americans, if you will, man. It's just not our thing. So, I mean, we had a couple of players in there sprinkled around, you know what I mean, over the years recently, and it's getting more prevalent. So that to finally have a black GM, that's great. Listen, anytime a brother or a sister can get a little come up, if you will, for lack of a better term, I'm all for it, man. I celebrate it wholeheartedly, 100%.
Business Bully, let's keep it short. Do you think it's a great financial move for them?
Absolutely. Listen, if you want to get Negroes involved, tell them we got somebody black to do something. Listen, Black Panther gave the Marvel Universe a 73% uptick in black people. Just saying, you put Negroes in the game, Negroes gonna show to the game.
I'm sorry, I gotta jump in, man. I see there is a Baker Mayfield just got traded to the Carolina Panthers, guys, for
wow.
224 conditional 5th round pick. So T, talk to me real fast, man. Throw your thoughts out there about Baker Mayfield getting traded to the Panthers. Literally just happened.
First of all, shout out to NIH, niggas in hockey. That's dope, man. That's dope. I always look forward to a brother getting a job, and he's a young brother, man. He ain't played a lot of years, so hopefully, actually, if you think about it, in my head, it looks like the perfect place to redeem himself. It looked like they're both looking for a lot of redemption, the team and the quarterback. So coming together, this is a good shot. Kudos to that. Good team to go to.
Amir, you get the last word, man. Baker Mayfield gets traded to the Panthers for the 224 5th round conditional draft. Basically peanuts. Let's be honest. You're right.
Great. Look, this is two things here, real quick. Baker Mayfield now has an opportunity to either give the Cleveland Browns the finger by going over there and picking up where he left off in Cleveland and being the player he's groomed himself into. And my man, like I said, let's get him on the field and see what he can do. Y'all paid this man a ton of money, so y'all better get that man on the field and see if he's worth every penny that y'all paid for him. Let's do it.
I'm trying to tell you. T, tell everybody out there how they can find you, how they can follow you, and what you got coming up.
Hey, first of all, I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. We got Amir drunk as F. Amir's still feeling the residue of that. Well, I tell you, you better drink that corn liquor if you want to. Anyway, Talent the Comedian on Instagram. It's Just Comedy on Twitter, and King Talent Harris on Facebook. Follow your boy. Holler at your boy. Big shows coming every week. Summer ain't over yet, baby.
I'm trying to tell you, Amir, it sounds like you had a rough weekend. And tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Had a great one. Hung out with the driveway drinking team over there up at Talent's crib. It was off the chain. A-Rock Silly on Instagram. Amir Silly on Facebook. Amir Silly on Twitter.
Thank you.
And big birthday shout out to you, Frank.
Thank you, brother.
Happy birthday, Frank.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Business Bully. Tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Yeah, before I do that, Frank, I just want to give a shout out to something that's very near and dear to my heart, man. It's an organization called the CLA. It's Corn Liquor Anonymous. If you need some help, stay the hell away from Talent's driveway. Follow me on all social media platforms at The Business Bully, and there is help for you. It's 12 steps out of Talent's driveway and away from that corn liquor.
CLA. Fig, talk to you. You get the final word.
The final word is Talent got Amir so drunk he couldn't even put on the suit and tie today. he went to T-shirts are us.
Amir, is that true? You had a hard time putting on the suit today because you couldn't.
Oh, that's classic. I'm on vacation, so I'm home. I was like, you know what? I'm not doing any of that. I'm gonna take it light today. But as always, man, it's always great to get on here and chop it up with you gentlemen. So I appreciate you, Frank, and I appreciate all of you guys, man.
Well, thank you for joining the show, man. Tomorrow's show, we're gonna definitely dive into this Baker Mayfield trade. It's a huge trade. Carolina Panthers, they did something, man. They got him for peanuts. So let's see what happens. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about other things that's happening, breaking news in sports. I want to thank Talent. I want to thank Amir, Business Fully Fig, for joining the show. The show's called Boxy. We'll see y'all tomorrow. And I'm sure Rodney Perry and a couple other guys and Mike Sean will be back. If not tomorrow, definitely by the end of the week. We'll talk about all about this and everything else. But again, thank y'all for watching. We appreciate y'all.
Peace.